that God wants you to prosper. Not somebody else, not someone down the street, but He wants you to prosper. He promises to be our exceeding great reward. God has a great plan for you. 3 John, verse 2, it says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers." Well, hello again. I'm Dr. Chonta Haynes with Heart Truth Ministries, and it truly is my pleasure today to introduce you to Olympia Baylou, who is the founder, the CEO and founder of Blooming Impressions FL. So right here in Florida, she has been doing some marvelous things with our youth, and I am so excited about talking about the youth initiatives today and what we can do for them so that they have a better tomorrow. So Olympia, would you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you so very much for inviting me to join you and share Blooming Impressions with you and your audience. I have had many years in the financial services field, 15 years to be exact. I left that field and now I'm in the education field. So I teach science to middle schoolers. Additionally, I have my own business. It's called Blooming Impressions. And I am also the founder of a nonprofit, Emerging Lotus. So yes, I do have a very busy schedule, but you know what? It's not too busy for me to pursue my passions and all of the things that I just named for you, from my teaching career, Blooming Impressions, and Emerging Lotus. They are all passions that are very dear to me.
Well, I'm excited about that, Olympia. I will tell you, finance is one of the areas that I am passionate about just in general, the money management side of it. And the reason is because our economic footprint is so bad. And unfortunately, women, only 18%, I should say, understand money management. And so I am glad that not only were you in the financial area and you'll be able to help the youth in that standpoint, but at the same time, it still goes over into so many other areas. You're setting them up for success. And that's what's really important. So I'm excited about that. My heart is there with you, and I love what you're doing. I will tell you this, my initial call to ministry was for youth. And I've been doing youth now, probably 20 some odd years. But I love the fact that youth are not only real, but they are sponges where you can then pour into them and influence them for the positive. So we definitely need to be investing in our youth. Now, how did you start in looking at youth? And I know you started Blooming Impressions even in the church.
Years ago, as a teenager, my parents sent me to a personal development program. And at the end of that program, I literally was transformed into a completely different person. And that experience gave me so much confidence, and it's just something that has grown up in me that I have felt like I have always wanted to replicate that program that I went through. So as an adult, I decided to do it. I think everyone should experience those confidence building moments in their life where they feel like they can do anything. And so, yes, I started Blooming Impressions as a church ministry back in 1997. So that was the first introduction with working with youth with this type of program. And I did see the young people transform, take a look at new subject areas that they had not gone through before, and really engage in it. And just become a part of it. And like with anything, once you develop a skill and it becomes a part of what you do, it really transforms you. You can use it in different areas. And that's our hope with Blooming Impressions, that once the youth go through the program, that they have skills that will last them throughout life. So it's not just about, going through a program, going through the motions, but these are skills that really help to transform the individuals now and also later.
I love that.
Yes.
It's so important. I was thinking about it earlier today, actually in this weekend as well. If you look in the Bible, you'll see Daniel and his friends that come in on the scene in the book of Daniel, and they are so confident in what it is that they believe in that they weren't going to even allow the king's food to change their attitude. And then when you look at Daniel a little bit later, I mean, we like to, hold them up and wave the banner saying, oh, this is the hall of faith and we want to follow after them. But there's something that has to be instilled in them up front before they
Absolutely.
got to that point. And I think that their parents are, would be looking, going, yes, we told them to not only believe in God, but to believe in themselves, believe in the traditions, believe in what they have gone through, that they're not going to waver. And we see so much in today's day and age where children are changing after they leave the home. And in many instances, it's because we thought we had a great foundation, but the foundation had a crack in it and it
Yeah.
wasn't sure. And so I see a lot of what you're doing in the personal development side as so important because the children of the youth don't recognize how it can carry them in the future.
Since I've worked with middle schoolers, I have worked with a lot of students who have not had success in life. And when I say success in life, maybe they have not been on a cheerleading team or a baseball team, in a church choir. So often they have never worked with other individuals in a group effort where they're producing some type of end result. A lot of the students that I've worked with have just not been supported in that way. So they've never had the experience of success and the confidence that having success brings. And so to me, the earlier an individual can have that experience success and become confident, it just lays out that it prepares them for that next step in life to do bolder things, to go after the things they want and set them up for success in the future.
I love that. And I'm going to ask you just kind of a personal question. You mentioned some of the team sports and how those things do encourage the youth to be confident in what they're doing. Did you ever
Yes.
do any team sports?
Yeah. So, first of all, I have 5 brothers that I grew up with and 2 sisters. So we're a big family and we always did things as a collective. And I enjoyed that. So we learned early on how to work with each other. When I was in school, I played some sports, ran track, and did cheerleading. And so early on, understanding the concept of unit working together, not just being out there by yourself, being supported by team members, being supported by a coach. And you know what? All of that feels good, right? I mean, when you're going at something and you have someone that's in your corner that's cheering you on, that's a really good feeling. And again, I'll just say the earlier an individual can experience that in life and have those feelings of success, I think it just prepares them for being successful and later on in life.
I like that. You're absolutely right. I went out for cheerleading and I never forget the first time I went out. I was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Now I changed and I was very good. I did quite a bit later on.
Couldn't imagine you being horrible at anything.
Oh, I couldn't. I mean, I would jump like 1 inch off the ground. I think it was. My god sister was actually helping me cheering, and I remember her going, wow, just like shaking her head. You never know what that does to an individual, but it
Yeah,
just
and so her cheering you on probably that
she was
encouragement helped.
probably laughing on the inside. But I was thinking of the young people who don't have that confidence. And
Right.
I know how anxious I was and how scared I was, heart beating in your chest. And I remember crying like a big baby afterwards when I did not make it the first time, though I was horrible. You just don't know. But there are so many young people, and you said you deal with a lot of middle schoolers. That's a
Yes.
transitional age.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
we start with the elementary, and by the time they get to fifth grade, they're a big man on campus and they're good. But then they have to switch over for us in Florida, middle school that starts at sixth grade, and you're like, what have I done? You do it again in high school, but you
Yeah.
have to recognize that you need these skills in order to live life the way you're supposed to follow what you've been taught, the principles that you do know. The Bible says that, don't be mocked about this, that evil communication corrupts good morals. So we want to make sure that we have the right morals placed in, the principles placed
Yes.
in, but at the same time, we have to be careful with who we encircle ourselves with. So
Yeah.
that is, when you look at the youth, I applaud you in working with the youth. I always believed that if we train them early, we don't have to
Absolutely.
retrain them when they're adults. So,
Yes.
but most of the case is that you don't see a lot of emphasis placed on the youth. And I think that's a fallacy that we've seen. We always want to cater to the adults, but if we get the youth first, then we can then circumvent some of those issues that we would
Yeah.
see later. So I'm glad what you're doing, but tell us a little bit more about Blooming Impressions and what you have to offer for our youth today.
I have a video out there, and it's an explainer video. It is out on YouTube.
Mhm.
Because when people first hear the name Blooming Impressions, they almost always think of a florist, and they honestly don't quite get the concept of going to a class being taught social skills. It is really a new concept for a lot of people. I know in areas of the United States, these type of programs have been going on for decades, probably for centuries even. But I find here in the area that we are here in this the Gulf Coast region of Central Florida, a lot of people do not understand the concept. So that has been one of our biggest efforts, is to make sure we're pushing information out about personal development programs and what they can offer. And so what we have to offer is a program that has a total of 16 sessions over an 8-week period that brings in professionals who are experts in their subject area. They teach these sessions to the youth in hopes of them gaining this information, this knowledge, and being able to apply it in their home life, in their school life, and even beyond that, once they go to college and then in the workforce, that they will take that knowledge and again apply it. So we have individuals, professionals that come in and teach our classes. You can visit our website and you can see the full list of our classes, the sessions that we offer, and a description of each session. But these professionals, they come in, they're very experienced. Some of them have 15, 20 years of experience. And this just adds credibility to what we are doing, to have these individuals come in and teach. So they're all experienced. Our sessions range from relationship health
Mhm.
all the way to table etiquette. So
Love it.
It's very broad, and I like that it's that broad. It's not just a one weekend swoop in and teach you about table etiquette. I will tell you, a lot of times when I talk to individuals and tell them that we have a personal development program, they immediately go to table etiquette because, quite frankly, that's what a lot of people are used to. They think about cotillions, where maybe they go for a weekend and they're taught table manners and how to dance, how to shake hands, but we are so much more than that. So, I mean, again, I recommend to visit our website and look at each of those sessions, look at the description of each session, and I think they will be surprised about all that we're offering in the 8-week period, and then the amount of talent that we have in the advisors, the professionals who actually come in and teach the sessions.
I think that's awesome. Yes, our kids need to know table etiquette, and you'd be surprised at some of the adults that don't know how to set the table appropriately. And why is that important? Because if you go out to a formal dinner and you're in a gathering, you don't want to like, okay, which fork do I use? And am I going to use the spoon in front of me? No, that's for your dessert. You know, that kind of thing. You don't want to do that
Yeah.
inappropriately. But you hit on a very key point as well. One of the classes you mentioned was that relationship etiquette and being able to communicate with one another.
Right.
We're not communicating these days. Most of the time you see kids on cell phones or even adults on cell phones, and we text and we type, we send an email, but we don't communicate one with the other. And we see a big breakdown in today's day and age, not only in your family, but we see it when you go out in these social settings as well. And it can cause some additional problems. And I think in many instances, since we're blowing up and not understanding what the other person is really trying to convey, we might end up in a lot of trouble that we could have avoided. So I believe that alone will be a great selling point for some of the parents to say, I do need to have my children in a program that they can develop. Because what I see from Blooming Impressions is, I like the image of a butterfly. You go from a caterpillar to a butterfly and you're changing. But Blooming Impressions just gives me the idea that they're going to bloom wherever they are planted. And you're
Absolutely.
trying to grow them to that next level. And I love it. I love it.
You hit it right on the head. Not to switch gears too much, but yes, when we were coming up with the logo and the name, I think we are perpetually blooming through life. So there isn't a point where we stop blooming. We are blooming our entire lives. So, and the logo is of a lotus, and I would recommend that, again, the viewers and the listeners go out and do a little research on the symbolism behind a lotus, and that'll give you a better understanding why we chose the lotus as our logo. But I do want to just go back and just expound a little bit on that relationship health class. Of all the classes, I have to say, not that I have any favorites, but I do love how the professional that we have, the professional advisor that comes in, how that class is taught. When we think about relationship health, I think a lot of times the parents instantly think, because we are talking to middle schoolers, primarily middle schoolers and high schoolers, they're thinking romantic relationships. And I will tell you that class is so much more than that. You mentioned communication. That is one huge component of it. But we are teaching our youth in that particular session how to relationship health with your parents, with your teacher. If you happen to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, how do you communicate? And what we find, and I've found through a lot of research online, That poor communicator is the death of many relationships. And oftentimes, I think what people have experienced in life is they're in a relationship that they have just somehow fallen into and do not really know how they got into the relationship. And then later on, if the individuals are married, it often leads to divorce because there hasn't been the communication. Individuals do not know how to express if someone makes them feel a certain way. If you say something that hurt my feelings, they do not know how to effectively know how to communicate to that individual that, you know what you just said hurt my feelings and I didn't like it, without sometimes getting into an argument, or they're anticipating an argument, so they never even have that conversation. And then years later, they feel like, you know what, this person is doing the same thing to me that they've been doing for the last 5 years, and I still don't like it.
Yeah.
But, you know, had they communicated effectively initially, it could have, you know, gotten them through a lot of what they're dealing with down the road. So that relationship health session is huge. We have it at the beginning of our program for that reason, to engage the students and helping them understand the importance, and also hoping that, hey, it's about communication, of course. We want them to communicate in the class. When we have our advisor speaking to them, if they have a question about something, go ahead, have that confidence to ask that question. And what I have found, having that at the beginning, by the end of our program, they're raising their hands, they're talking more. I mean, they are fully engaged. So putting that out there, and as one of the first sessions in the program, is it's huge.
I love it. And I heard the baby crying in the background, so we're not going to just pretend like that didn't happen. Olympia does have the opportunity then to try out everything that she's saying. She's not just, you know, writing a book and say, hey, try to do my stuff, but from real life experiences. And what I will say is, based on what you just said, and let me just drop the link here too. It is, you're going to bloomingimpressionsfl.com. So
Yes,
check that out. It's also available on Facebook as well as Instagram. You're still looking for Blooming Impressions FL. So you'll find it there. But one of the things that you did say is that by the end of that first session, you are seeing them raising their hands. These kids then are responding and they're reacting to what they've learned. So they're participating. That's what's so important. In many instances, you know, parents will say, oh, my kid won't do anything. They're lazy. They're not paying attention. You've got to reach them. And what you're saying to me is that you're reaching our young people. If you reach them, then you will be able to then take them to that next level. If you don't reach them, they're going to be stuck where they are. And so they won't grow.
You know, when I first started this business, I had, you know, how everyone loves to give you advice. And I had several people asking me, why are you paying people to come in and do that? You could probably save your money if you just did it this way and have, you know, other people, you know, come in. And one thing that I know about having professionals in particular with the relationship health, these are people, again, who have been working, some of them as social workers, who have worked with youth themselves in various programs, who, when I tell you, have 15, 20 years of experience. So they know the nuances about their subject area, versus bringing in someone who may have just pulled up some information from Google and who's coming in talking about it. These professionals, because they worked with youth in this capacity for so long, they know the things to do to get those students engaged. And I absolutely love it that they come, and they're not there just to teach a session. They really bring their expertise to make sure that the kids get the most benefits they possibly can from each session.
So parents, I'm going to say to my audience, if you are a parent and you have a child that's 13 years old or up, or you're in a community, and we have some community involvement groups that are around today that are catering to our youth, contact Olympia, see how you guys can partner together. Olympia, I so thank you for being here with me. Again,
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Chonta Haynes with Heart Truth Ministries. It truly is my pleasure to bring you these transformative biblically based truths. Make sure you invest in your youth today. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your evening. Hi, thanks for listening and watching. And if you enjoyed what you've seen, make sure you subscribe, like, and share, and hit that notification button so you'll know the next time there's a new episode. Listen, as a result of my coaching program, my clients have experienced a calming of the emotional roller coaster. They have a compelling future, as well as a confidence in the know-how to achieve it. And they have clarity on the financial tools that they need in order to live life on their terms and save tens of thousands of dollars. I'm looking for women who are devastated by the double D's, divorce or death, who want to gain confidence to live life on their terms with peace and financial security. My question is, who do you know? Have them go ahead and book a call with me so that we can get to that compelling future. My heart may be broke, but your bank account doesn't have to be. You can find us online at htruth.org. At Heart to Heart Truth Ministries, we're helping believers live an abundant life based on God's Word, standing on His promises, walking out His principles, sharing with God's people, serving as unto the Lord.